Hello, my fellow nerds out there. Welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds. Today, we got our two co-hosts here today. Mike, what's up?
And Julia.
And before we start, we just want to give a shout out to our two fans, Seth and Kelly. They've been listening to us from the beginning. We just want to say thank you for listening and keep listening.
They've been supporting us basically from the very beginning, and I know that they both listen to every episode every week. So your support means a lot to us, guys.
Thank you. And today's hint today is The Boy Who Lived. And if you don't know what that is, it's Harry Potter. Now, I only saw the movies, and I know you're going to be like, you saw the movies? You should have Yes, I should have read the book. Sue me. Fact, don't sue me.
They might.
Fact, don't sue me. I don't have the money. And just a warning, if you hear panting, that's just my dog. She's a little anxious. She just wants to be in the show.
Yeah. So, we're not doing a comparison with the books against the movies. That will come later. They'll have their own single episodes, because there's a lot that has to be unpacked for all of them. So we're just going to focus mainly on the book. I do want to talk about some things that actually made me sad. It's probably mostly going to be me, because I have read all the books multiple times. Harry Potter is my favorite series. In fact, I have 2 Harry Potter tattoos, with more planned. So it's a very big part of my life.
Yep.
So, before I delve into Harry Potter, I learned about Harry Potter when I was in 7th grade. My 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Scott, was reading the books to us. And this one time we had a Scholastic book fair. Those of you who don't know what a Scholastic book fair is, probably because you're too young, it was where Scholastic basically came into your school, set up. It was, I think, a week or so. I think it was a few days at least, and they would set up these bookshelves, and you could go in and buy books, pencils, folders, that type of thing.
Those were the days.
And the year that Mrs. Scott read Harry Potter to us was, at that point, books 1, 2, and 3 had been released. And I convinced my mom to let me buy, or to give me the money, because, 7th grade. I convinced her to give me the money to buy Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban. Shortly after that, book 4 had been released. My mom got me that for Christmas one year. Book 5, my late grandma bought for me one day when we were at Walmart. And then books 6 and 7 I had pre-ordered. My mom paid for those as a birthday gift to me. Since my birthday is in August, late August, and the books were coming out about a month before, my mom paid for books 6 and 7 as an early birthday gift for me. And then I have a friend in Australia who actually sent me his original, he sent me Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows. He went out and found a copy of Deathly Hallows, and he sent me his own copy he went out and found a copy of Half-Blood Prince and sent me his copy of Deathly Hallows. And those were the actual UK versions. So it wasn't the US versions. These were the ones that were actually released in the UK. So there was a lot of differences with the ways of spelling and stuff like that. Like, they call sweaters jumpers, and, tennis shoes are called trainers and stuff like that. Favorite is spelled with a U. That color is spelled with a U, that type of thing. So, Harry Potter, mostly everybody knows about Harry Potter. It's about a story about a boy wizard who he doesn't know he's a wizard. He just, he grew up, being abused by his aunt and uncle. And yes, it was abuse. They verbally abused him, and Uncle Vernon did physically abuse him a few times as well. I mean, come on, they put him under the stairs.
He was a dick.
Who does that to a child? especially, a child who was basically, an orphan. So one year, the year that he's going to turn 11, he gets his Hogwarts letter. His aunt and uncle do everything in their power to keep him from getting that letter, but he gets it. And we meet Hagrid. Hagrid gives him his letter. Harry goes to Hogwarts, and he gets into all types of shenanigans throughout the series. And as he got older, and we got older, because I basically grew up with these books. So every time the books were released, I was a little bit older, and the books did progressively get darker. And the person that killed his parents, he ultimately did defeat the Dark Lord Voldemort, who, that's who killed his parents. Once and for all. So Harry did have a happy ending. It was, kind of bittersweet. Because a lot of my favorite characters did die throughout the series. There was a lot of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna like describe like the books, like little by little. Like that will be saved for when we actually do the deep dive into the comparisons of the books and the movies.
Because right now, that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of focus to do. So just bear with us. We'll get to it sooner or later.
Yeah, so I think I might just briefly sum up what each one is. Chamber of Secrets, Harry fights a giant snake. Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry learns who his godfather is. Goblet of Fire, Triwizard Tournament, Harry gets entered. Cedric dies.
Voldemort came back.
Voldemort did come back in that one, yeah. Order of the Phoenix, Harry is all angst and emo. Has very big anger issues because no one is believing him, no one's standing next to him except for his friends and stuff like that. And then the Wizarding world at that point learns that Voldemort did come back. Half-Blood Prince was Harry learning about Voldemort's weaknesses, and then Dumbledore dies at the end. By Snape. Snape kills Dumbledore!
Spoiler alert.
And Deathly Hallows is basically the ending of the series where they find all of Voldemort's Horcruxes, and they do end up defeating Voldemort once and for all. Harry gets married to Ginny, and they have 3 children. You got James Sirius, Albus Severus, which I fucking hate that name, and Lily Luna. So, those are just some brief summaries. Now, there's something I want to talk about, and it's the pairings. I am a big Hermione and Ron pair. I love Hermione and Ron. I ship them, and I do ship Ginny and Harry. That didn't actually come about until book 6 when Harry and Ginny got together. I was actually a Harry and Cho fan, until Cho was just like, her friend basically sold Dumbledore's army out, and got them all in trouble. And so I'm just kind of like, about, Harry and Cho. But I am a big Harry and Ginny fan. And then there are people who ship, Hermione with Draco. Okay. Draco is a pureblood who dislikes Muggleborns. He has stated many times in the books that he wanted Muggleborns, specifically Hermione, to die, okay? If you love someone, you're not going to be like, oh, I want you to fucking die. He does say multiple times in the books that he hopes that it was Granger that would die, which is Hermione's last name. That he hoped that she would die in Chamber of Secrets. And he got very excited when Voldemort came back. Now, Draco did have a bit of a change of heart around the 6th movie, or 6th book. Because at that point, Voldemort tasked him with killing Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
So he was more focused on, I need to complete my mission to stay in favor with the Dark Lord, or the Dark Lord is going to kill us. And then he did he did try to protect them during the Malfoy Manor incident. But he did still try to kill them at Hogwarts during the Battle of Hogwarts in the 7th book. So really, that's not going to work no matter how big of a redemption arc Draco had. There will never be a time where Hermione and Draco will be together because he actively wanted her to die and he tried to kill her. Okay? It's never gonna happen, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I also kind of see it too, because I don't see them together anyways.
Yeah, Draco does end up with someone named Astoria Greengrass, and she does kind of change his view on Muggleborns a little bit, but not a whole lot. By the time, now, I'm going to mention the Cursed Child here. I do not agree. I don't care what you all say. You can roast me in the comments for all I care. The Cursed Child is a fan fiction. It is a very bad fan fiction because, first off, Voldemort would not have a child because Voldemort would see that as competition, okay? Voldemort didn't want competition. Voldemort wanted to be immortal. So it definitely would not make sense for him to have a child, okay? We're going to get that out of the way. He didn't need a child, okay? He didn't think he was going to die, but he did. He was killed by a 17-year-old boy, okay? But he would not have wanted that pressure. Not even pressure. He wouldn't want somebody. He didn't need an heir, essentially. So there's no reason for him to even have children. I don't even think Voldemort could even. I don't even think his baby juices were flowing.
Either way, when does he have the time?
Well, okay, so there's speculation that around the time of so Delphi is her name.
Right.
The speculation of Delphi's time of birth was she was born right before the Battle of Hogwarts. Around the time that Teddy Lupin was born, which is Remus and Tonks's child. So which means Bellatrix would have had to be pregnant at the time of the Malfoy Manor incident. So there's speculation that she hid her pregnancy. Okay, now we all know how crazy Bellatrix is for Voldemort.
Cuckoo.
If she was pregnant with his child, why would she want to hide it? She would be flaunting that.
And two, in the second thing, even if she had a kid, wouldn't she be more weak or something just after having that kid?
Not necessarily, depending on how far before the Battle of Hogwarts Delphi was born. Wouldn't necessarily make her weak. Because, witches and wizards aren't the same as us. Because they do live a lot longer than regular muggles.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dumbledore was like 115 years old when he died.
Oh, yeah. Look at that beard he had. So long.
Yeah. So, Voldemort, by the way, was 70 when he died. That's what happens when you use two Horcruxes, people.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so they're saying that she was pregnant around that time, but I don't see her wanting to hide the fact that she's pregnant with Voldemort's children, or his child, because she would be proud of that shit. She really would be proud of that. Plus, she's protected by a lot of people, so if somebody tries to kill her and the baby, she's protected by people.
Pretty much.
So, no, there's no way in hell that she'd be hiding that shit, because she'd be like, look at me, I'm carrying Voldemort's spawn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Bellatrix ends up dying anyways. I don't even want to talk about the Cursed Child, because it is, shit. I did try to read the script. I got about 20 pages in and got pissed off because they were giving all of Ron's good lines to Hermione. that's another thing that I have a gripe with about the movies, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the movies. But yeah, they were giving all of Ron's good lines to Hermione in the play. And now, I'm sure the play is amazing. A lot of people have said that the play is really good. But I just see it as fan fiction.
I think that's pretty much what it is. It is fan fiction.
It really is. It just... J.K. Rowling just put her name on it, and it's considered canon now. It will never be canon to me. Never. So, roast me in the comments if you want. I don't care. That's just my view on the Cursed Child. It's crap. Okay?
So, you would say this ain't... You said it's not canon, so it's kind of like how that pink kryptonite with Superman.
Okay, well, kind of like that, except for that's considered not canon. But, since, okay, so the people that wrote The Cursed Child had to get J.K. Rowling's approval for it to go out.
Which, yeah, I get
So, now that it has J.K. Rowling's approval, it is considered canon. I do not consider it canon because it's a piece of shit.
Well...
And it does break a lot of things that were established in the series. It does break a lot of things.
Well, I haven't read it, so I might have to give it a read and see what it's like, so...
They only have it in script form.
Screw that then.
I tried reading it, and not because it was in script form, because I have read scripts before, like I've read Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, that type of thing.
I read Virgin of Venice.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with the fact that it's in script form. It's just that it was crap. I could only get through 20 pages. My friend, Alyssa, who did read it, it took her 4 hours to read, and she said it was one of the worst things that she's ever read. So, yeah, Cursed Child, not canon in my opinion. I know everything else says otherwise, but
yep,
whatever. So now the deaths that really got to me. So, of course, the first one that happens in the series was, that we really cared about was Cedric. The first death was actually, if I remember correctly, the first death was actually Quirrell. When he was fighting Harry at the end of the first season.
Right.
Or at the first, sorry, not season, at the end of the first book. We're not going to count him. So, the first real big death was of a Muggle man named Frank Bryce. He, after Voldemort had started to regain his strength, that was one of the first deaths that Voldemort had done. Then later on that same year, Cedric Diggory died. And then people did not believe that Voldemort was back. So some more people died. There was a mass breakout at Azkaban. They're still saying, oh, Sirius Black was the one that did it because Sirius Black escaped Azkaban. They're like, oh yeah, Sirius Black did it. Still completely refusing to believe that Voldemort's still alive. Or that Voldemort is back. And then at the end of the fifth movie, or the fifth book, Harry's godfather, Sirius Black, is killed by his cousin. I do believe she fired... I think in the movie she fired a green... Did she hit him? I think she hit him with Avada Kedavra?
Yeah.
I think she hit him with Avada Kedavra in the movie. But in the book, she just hit him with Stupefy. And when she hit him with Stupefy, he was close to the veil, and then he fell through the veil. So not like what we saw in the movie at all. He just kind of fell backwards through it, stunned. And Harry was like, oh, he's gonna come out of the veil at any time. And he's like, why isn't Sirius coming? And Remus is just kind of like, hey, yeah, Sirius isn't coming back. So Harry had the loss of his godfather. The sixth book, there were some deaths. I cannot remember any of the deaths leading up to the main one, which was Albus Dumbledore. That one really got me because I never expected Dumbledore to die. He had some sort of curse on him, and he had asked Severus or Snape to kill him. And Snape did. At the time, though, we just thought that Snape was just doing it because Snape's a dick. Snape is a dick. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. But he did, he was the one that killed, Dumbledore. That got me. And then in the 7th book, we had Dobby was killed. Remus Lupin was killed. Peter Pettigrew, which, y'all know, Peter Pettigrew is, the one that he betrayed, Harry's parents.
The dirty rat.
He does die by his own hand because he was sitting there and he was trying to strangle Harry, and Harry said, I don't remember exactly what Harry said, but Pettigrew had a moment of mercy, and that moment of mercy cost him his life because when he helped Voldemort come back, he cut off his hand. Voldemort gave him a silver hand, and then when he went to show Harry some mercy, his hand turned on him and killed him.
Yep.
He basically strangled himself. So he died. And then Fred Weasley died. And then throughout the Battle of Hogwarts, we had other deaths. So Remus Lupin and Tonks, they died. In the movie, they said that Lavender Brown had passed away, that she had died. In the book, she was stirring feebly, but we have not heard anything about whether she is actually alive or dead. It's not mentioned on it. They did have character details up on Pottermore. It's not Pottermore anymore. It's like WizardingWorld.com or whatever. They did have stats up, and they never mentioned her as being dead. Because, like, say, for example, Colin Creevey, which that right there, that got me. The death of Colin Creevey really, really got me. But Colin, it does say, died May 2nd, 1997. Or 1998. So it does say, this is the year the day that Colin died. Lavender's did not have that on her profile. I don't think the profiles are up anymore, so I can't check. And I haven't heard anything from J.K. Rowling on that either. So, and then of course Voldemort died at the end. Now, let's talk about Severus Snape. I am not a fan of Snape. He is a shit person. Now, I will admit that Snape is a well-written character, but he's a shit person. And I'm gonna tell you why. So hold on to your butts, everybody. Snape was a bully to children and in his care, okay? You do not do that to children. He bullied poor Neville Longbottom so much that Neville was afraid of him, okay? You should not be afraid of your teacher like that. But he was afraid of Snape. Snape tried to kill his toad, okay? And you don't do that to a student. I don't care. I don't care if you say, oh, well, he was just trying to teach Neville a lesson. No, you don't take a kid's pet and kill the kid's pet, okay? That makes you a dumbass, or not dumbass, but that makes you a shit person. Now, his days in high school, okay? Yeah, I will admit he was bullied, but you know what? He was also bullied, okay? He bullied as much as the Marauders bullied him. He laughed when one of Lily's friends was hexed. She was cursed with dark magic, and he laughed about it. Okay, you do not laugh about your best friend's, one of your best friends' friends getting hexed with dark magic. Okay, you don't laugh about it. Plus, he used Secta Sempra against James, which, okay, yeah, retaliation because James was picking on him. Okay, whatever. What the fuck ever. So, Snape also came up with Levicorpus. Now, I do believe it said that he invented the Levicorpus spell. We do see it used on Snape. But if Snape invented it, then how did everybody else learn how to use it? Let that sink in for a minute, okay? That means that they have seen Snape use it on other people. Snape was obsessed with Lily. His Patronus was a doe, which was the same as Lily's. James's Patronus was a stag. They complement each other. Unlike Snape's and Lily's, they're basically the same. He was obsessed with her.
Pretty much of a stalker.
He kind of was, because one of the first things he did when we first see him, when during his memories that we see, you see him hungrily, and it says in the book, hungrily watching the two girls play.
Yeah, that's creepy.
So he was watching Lily and her sister Petunia playing, but he was more focused on Lily because he knew that Lily was a witch. So they became friends, and then Snape hurt Petunia. He made a branch break, and it fell on her and hurt her. And after, it was around that time that Petunia was just kind of like, I don't want anything to do with my sister. I don't like my sister. And that's basically, Snape kind of, I feel like Snape was the one that dug that rift between them. It didn't help that James also was kind of a little,
a dick.
Not really a dick. He thought that Vernon was funny. Vernon thought that he was like lazy or around to lay about or whatever. So Vernon and James didn't get along well. It resulted in, it was during a dinner that they had done to get, to try to reconcile, and it resulted in Vernon and Petunia leaving, and Lily was in tears, and James was trying to apologize for it.
Right.
But Snape, he was obsessed, and what really got me, though, was when he went to Dumbledore to have him help, or to save Lily from being killed by Voldemort. Dumbledore had asked him, well, why don't you go ask Voldemort to spare Lily? And Snape says, I did. Okay? He did not care about her child. He did not care about her husband. It was almost like he thought that if James and Harry were out of the picture, Lily would come back to him. That's not what... No. If Voldemort had spared her, she wasn't going to go back. She wasn't going to go to Snape. She was going to, fight with all of her power against Voldemort. That's what she was going to do. She would have wanted nothing with Snape, because after he called her a mudblood during their fifth year, she's just like, nah, I'm done. I've made excuses for you for years. No, we're done. So, that's, as you could probably tell, I do not like Snape at all. Snape is by far my least favorite character. My favorite character was definitely, Harry. I did like Ron, Fred, and Remus and Colin Creevey. Those were my favorite characters. All of them, but Harry and Ron died. Also, the Ron bashing needs to stop. Okay, Ron, he was a 15-year-old or a 15-year-old child during, Half-Blood or Goblet of Fire. Of course, his emotions are gonna run high. He always felt like that he was, left in the limelight, but they did come, they did get back together. They did become friends again. The Ron, I will get back, I will get into the Ron bashing later on in the series, like when we come upon those.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ron bashing just needs to stop, guys. Like,
just stop.
Just stop with the Ron bashing. He's not a dick. I mean, kind of is, but I mean, what teenager isn't a dick?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure you were a dick when you were a teenager.
Very much.
Yeah. See, so. His emotions were running high, Ron's not a bad person. He is a very good character. I mean, he gave Harry a place to stay when Harry had nowhere else to go.
Yeah, very much.
And so I think that's pretty much all I really wanted to talk about with Harry Potter.
All right. I haven't read the books, but I'm going to try to get to them as soon as I can.
I have them if you want to borrow them.
Maybe later, but like I said, I was a big fan of the movies. I'm not going to talk much about the movies. I'm just going to say the movies were good. The effects, okay. I'm going to be honest. When you see the effects in the first film, you're like, you thought this was good back then, but you see.
I mean, with it being the early 2000s,
yeah.
That's good by that standard.
By that year, but you can tell throughout the years the effects got better, the characters were getting better.
Yeah, because they aged and matured,
But I do know this that I don't like about the movies. You don't engage with the side characters like you do in the books, because like you can tell there's side characters in the books that people might know more about because they're explained more better in the books than the movies. Then again, they say they have them deleted scenes, but if you're trying to adapt this in the movie, you need a certain amount of time, or if the character is not that interesting, it's not going to work in the movie. And I pretty much like the two Dumbledore actors. I like the first one because he kind of just felt like an old wise man. Just like
Richard Harris is what everybody expects Dumbledore to be like. He was calm. He was wise, old.
He made you feel like a grandfather.
And that's what people felt like. That's how Dumbledore seemed like in the first few movies or the first few books. Was he just kind of seemed like this nice older grandpa type dude.
And you could tell when they had to get a new actor after the first one died.
Yeah, Richard Harris had passed away.
You can tell with the new one, he's being a little more with the character. He's being more energetic, try to figure out how to do shit, how to put stuff together, which you explained to me that's also how they do in the book. And yeah, mate. But I also had to say the best actor of all, besides Daniel Radcliffe, was Robbie Coltrane.
Yes. So Robbie Coltrane was the actor for Hagrid. And Robbie Coltrane, unfortunately, had passed away, I think it was either late last year.
I think late last year
or early this year.
But I'm trying to rewatch the movies now, and with him, he makes you feel like he's your uncle or your best friend that you need to go have a beer with. Be like, you're having where Draco called Hermione a mudblood. He's like, hey, it's okay. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's like, have a drink.
Yeah. So, Robbie Coltrane, rest in peace, Robbie.
We miss you.
Yeah, his death kind of hit me kind of hard when I found out that he had passed.
Oh, you should.
I am still trying to find his memorial in Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah. I have not found it yet. If any of you have any tips on how to find it, let put it down in the comments below so I can go find it myself.
And yeah, you should have seen all the videos that people on YouTube, TikTok about Robbie. They just really honored him.
Mm-hmm. He also did a voice. So there's this 1970s British show called Are You Being Served? And he did a voice in one of those episodes. So I'm gonna remember him from that, but I'm also gonna always remember him as Hagrid because I grew up with him as being Hagrid.
Yep. And I think, and like I said, Dan Radcliffe was good. Mm-hmm. Pretty much the whole cast was good.
The whole cast was good, yeah.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman killed it as Snape. I will say that. I do, going back to talking about Snape, I do think that a lot of people mistake Alan Rickman for Snape, and then they just kind of project the way that Snape was in the movies to how he was in the books, and then people just forget about the way that he acted in the books.
And I also give the big props to the actress who played Mrs. Weasley, because I heard that I think they say she got sick or later.
No. It was Maggie Smith that got sick.
Oh.
Maggie Smith she had played Minerva McGonagall, Harry's teacher, the head of house of Gryffindor. She had gotten breast cancer when they were filming Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, I do believe. She was really sick during that time. She was going through chemo. She was losing her hair. She even got shingles on her head. And she had to wear a wig because all of her hair had fallen out. That's
gotta be torture, and you have to give you have to give her a reward or props for that, because she's going through. She went through a lot.
She went through a lot. I see Maggie Smith as a true Gryffindor for that.
Pretty much, I do have to say all the actors were good, and I even give the props to the actress who played Mrs. Weasley, because you can tell she was a protective mother who cared.
She was getting into it.
And you also had the guy who played Arthur Weasley. He was you can tell he was made for the role.
Yeah.
And pretty much the actors who played Fred and George, though I know they're just side characters, but come on.
I mean, they're more than just side characters, I think.
But they did make you laugh.
Yeah. There is an article or an interview going around. I don't know how true the interview is, because people make shit up all the time. But,
like they always do.
A reporter had actually asked them if they were identical twins. And they're like, no, we just met at the audition.
And which is kind of funny. It's they're not they're just whoa, you two look a little.
Yeah.
Hey, in my opinion, give directors props on that one, because you just hit the money load right there.
Yeah.
Even if they're not related, it was
yeah,
fuck it, let's take them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really think there's anything else that we really needed to talk about with Harry Potter.
Right.
I think I pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we give next week's hint?
I would say read the books, watch the movies, give them a try. They're what should we do first? I would say watch the movie first. Scratch that. Reverse it. WB, don't you dare. I'm just quoting. Don't you dare sue me for that. What I mean is, read the books first and watch the movie. It's kind of like how I watched Jurassic Park first, then I read the book, and I'm like, I should have read the book first. But either way, alright, our next week's hint.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Next week's hint is See You, Space Cowboy.
And there you go. Before I say goodbye, I want to say again, Seth and Kelly, thanks for listening to us, and please keep listening to us in the future.
And everybody else, like and subscribe. If you have anything that you would like us to talk about, please leave it in the comments below, and we will get to it.
And bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.